What's your power that you use to express and empower yourself? We all have that thing that we use to keep ourselves motivated, a tool to help us focus and keep us in our lane. As people come and go, they leave their own print, and today we will talk about South African singer, songwriter, civil rights activist Mariya Makiba, also known as Mama Africa. We will spotlight Mariya Makiba not only because of her impact in the music industry, but because of her persistence, courage, and dedication to what she loves. Mariya Makiba was born on March 4, 1932 in Johannesburg, South Africa, and raised in Soweto, a township near Johannesburg that was a major center for Black South Africans during the apartheid era. When Mariya was just 6 years old, her mother passed away, and she was sent to live with her grandmother. Despite the sadness, Mariya's grandmother was a strong influence on her life, imparting values of resilience, cultural pride, and a deep sense of community. Mariya Makiba attended local schools in Johannesburg, but the quality of the education she received was significantly impacted by the apartheid system. Education for Black South Africans under apartheid was intentionally underfunded and segregated. It was designed to limit opportunities for Black children, affecting Mariya's educational background. And therefore, she did not finish her secondary school, as financial hardships made it difficult for her to continue her education. Like many children in her community, Mariya was forced to leave school at a young age to help support herself and her family. Even though Mariya's formal education was bounded, her musical education and learning started to grow, which took place in non-traditional settings. Some of the most important aspects of her education came from her early exposure to music, local cultural practice, and the support of those around her. She learned a great deal from singing in local church choir, where she was introduced to traditional African songs. This exposure to music provided the foundation for her voice and performance skills. In 1950s, Mariya Makiba joined the Skylarks, an all-female group that performed jazz and traditional South African music. This experience became her first significant musical training, where she learned about vocal harmony and a group performance. She initially joined the group as a backup singer, but over time, her distinctive voice began to shine through, especially when she started to listen to a wide range of music through the radio broadcast. After some time, Mariya started to become well-known after her work like Pata Pata, released in South Africa in 1957, a fusion of African rhythm and jazz. Aside from her musical journey, Makiba's engagement in political cause had its own impact on her career, especially in the context of anti-apartheid movement. This activism grew throughout her career and was an essential part of her public persona. Makiba, as many other South Africans at the time, faced a lot of racial discrimination, which shaped her political views. In 1963, Makiba was invited to address the United Nations about the injustice of apartheid, raising her profile as an advocate for African freedom. This also led to her being banned from returning to South Africa. 5 years after that, Makiba married Stokely Carmichael, a prominent civil rights leader and member of Black Panther Party. Their union further fueled their participation in the global civil rights movement. But since Makiba has already laid her foundation, it wasn't hard for her to be recognized by the international community. She was later on invited to perform at the Olympia Music Hall in Paris, which holds a significant place for the international stars. When Makiba moved to the States in the 1960s, it marked a major shift in her career. It was here that she began to gain a significant followings, performing at prestigious venues like Carnegie Hall, alongside with Harry Belafonte, an American singer and civil rights activist. The two also recorded an album together, An Evening with Harry Belafonte and Mariya Makiba, which received positive reviews and helped solidify her position in the US music scene. He was also instrumental in helping Makiba speak out against the apartheid. In general, Mariya Makiba tried her best to become voice for her people who were silenced. Throughout her musical journey, she toured to many places to perform her magical music and spread the spirit of justice and human rights. For instance, she performed at the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland in 2006, which was one of her last major festival appearances. Although Makiba had been exiled for much of her life due to the apartheid reign, in her last years, she did return to perform in South Africa, Cape Town, where she performed to an energetic crowd, celebrating her return to her homeland after decades of being unable to perform. Mariya Makiba's strong Pan-African spirit led her to establish deep connections with many African nations, including Ethiopia, where Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia, invited her to sing at the inauguration of the Organization of the African Unity. She was the only performer asked to participate. Not only that, but majority of her works were enormously impacted by Ethiopian music. While she did not have a long-term dedicated collaboration with Ethiopian artists, there are instances where she performed alongside or was influenced by Ethiopian musicians. For example, Mulatu Astatke, known as the father of Ethio jazz, Mahamud Ahmed, renowned Ethiopian singer known for his contribution to Ethiopian popular music, especially Amharic song. Even though there is no direct record of Mariya Makiba performing with them, their career overlapped in similar circles of Pan-African music and cultural exchange. They performed at international festivals and were part of the broader African diaspora that sought to share and celebrate African music globally. She also played the love song Tizita, proving her love and respect for Ethiopian music through her remarkable voice. Especially during Mariya Makiba's time in exile around 1960s and 1970s, the global African music scene was closely interconnected. She performed in many countries where Ethiopian music had significant influence. And even at her visit in Ethiopia, it is said that she has visited the legendary Miradmede. But Mariya Makiba's last major public performance was at the Medimex Festival in Italy, which took place in November 2008. We can all agree on her impact in jazz and African music, and she was recognized by different bodies. For example, in 1969, Mariya Makiba won a Grammy Award for her contribution to the album An Evening with Harry Belafonte and Mariya Makiba, making her the first African to win the Grammys. Then, in 2002, Makiba was awarded the Polar Music Prize, one of the most prestigious international music awards. The prize is often called the Nobel Prize of Music and is awarded for her outstanding contribution to the world music and her role in promoting African culture and unity throughout her music. In the same year, Makiba received the Star Award at the Kora All African Music Awards. Awards like International Peace Award, UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, and Lifetime Achievement Award, which shows her role as a global musical ambassador for South African and African music. This and many other awards were given to Mariya Makiba to honor and acknowledge her journey. On November 9, 2008, at the age of 76, Makiba died of a heart attack shortly after performing in Italy. After her death, Mariya Makiba received tributes from all over the world. South Africa, where she was a national hero, mourned her passing deeply. Nelson Mandela, South Africa's former president and anti-apartheid leader, expressed his grief and praised her as a daughter of the soil, who had represented South Africa with honor on the world stage. Last but not least, we can understand from her story that our talents can be used to impact the world around us. Especially art is one of the most powerful weapons we have to raise our voice to the stage, and she's a clear evidence for that. Let us all take the time and courage to see what we have in our hands that we can use to make something worth of our living.